It doesn't matter what you're talking about.
No,
it still
doesn't
kind of
really
sounds
matter.
wrong.
Yeah, but just as long as you never explain it, then it's fine.
Just let it.
Then it's other people who have
throw it out there and let it go.
Dan's initials are the same as somebody else on this.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, that adds to the conspiracy.
2 CDs
in,
in one room.
Conspiracy.
No wonder it was weird in here. And that's my boss.
Yeah.
So, that's what's awesome about that.
Exactly. What are you going to say? All right. Are we all good here?
I think so.
Ready to go? Everybody's got their beer? Okay. Hello.
It's off the table.
This is, I don't know, it's chaos in here. This is Trends with Benefits. This is our weekly roundtable podcast. If you're watching live on Facebook and YouTube right now, we have a lot of things that we're going to talk about today. This is also a podcast that goes up on iTunes and everywhere else after we're done. But what we're going to be talking about today is everything from Comic-Con. Here at the beginning, we've got Atari news, we've got Elon Musk things. The Russians are putting a star up into the atmosphere, which would be a perfect Conspiracy Dan topic. And we do have to say goodbye to a very special robot named Steve. That's at the end of the show. So a lot of things to get to. We want to hear your comments, your questions, everything you want to talk about. Please feel free to drop those in there. I'm your host, Greg Nibbler. Let's introduce our roundtable here. To start off with, to my right.
I am Brad Burke.
Brad Burke, the man who provided us with the beer here today. Yeah, and Brad, what is it that we're drinking?
We're drinking Block 15 Sticky Hands.
Sticky Hands
Sticky
just sounds
hands.
like everything sounds wrong on this show. Hot nozzle,
Well,
to
it's 'cause
sticky hands.
you pick hops and your hands get sticky from all the oils that come off of them. So
Okay,
that's
all right. Yeah, sure.
I
Just
like
go with
my
that.
idea better.
Yeah.
And that's
Come
why
up with your
everything
own.
sounds so awkward in here.
Exactly. All right, and to your right.
I'm Brendan.
Hello, Brendan. Thanks for joining us today, too.
Thank you.
Brendan got a last-minute notification, and he has made it.
Way to step
With
up.
Plum. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you really did. And on the end,
The Whiskey Mist.
the Whiskey Mist. The man, the myth, and the legend. Whiskey Mist. Joining us here on Trends with Benefits. All right.
I can tell Brendan doesn't ever watch the podcast because he still thinks the Whiskey Mist is funny.
I don't know where it came from either. So
I've watched a dozen.
I'm aware of it.
That's to be fair, it's because we're working him so hard. So it's a good excuse.
Okay, that's a good excuse to start off with. All right. So as you're watching live, you'll notice one of the main questions that we put up here is just having to do with Comic-Con, which is starting now and going through this weekend. And we have a huge article up at Digital Trends right now of what do you hope to see from Comic-Con. And I've already seen a lot of what I'm excited about, but I really want to see what the comments are, what people are excited to see, what you hope to see from it. I'm excited just for the Defenders stuff. The Defenders, to me, is the best thing that Marvel's done. I think it's even better than the movies. I love the Defenders series.
You felt that way after Luke Cage and...
Luke Cage, yes. I love Luke Cage.
Okay.
Iron Fist, all right. Iron Fist may have been a bit of a down one, but it's still good if you just take. Well, I can't even say that. It's there. Jeez. I was trying to defend.
Roll that one back, Greg.
We'll pretend that one didn't happen. But the Defenders, though, coming out in July, and it looks. I think. August. I believe it's the first part of August is when it actually comes out.
Because it is July.
Because it is July right now. Thank you for that. Thank you, Whiskey Mist, for correcting. But there's that to me, and just seeing them together, and there's a new trailer that came out where Stan Lee's narrating it, which is awesome. I think that's exciting. And then they also kind of teased, yeah, there we go. So if you're watching live, you can see the trailer of that. That to me is really cool. And so I'm excited to hearing about the Defenders news, and just the fact that probably during this you're going to get all four of them on stage, and it'll be like the nerdiest thing ever. But I will like it, and I'll secretly watch it on my own and not tell anybody about it because now I can tell it's really nerdy. All right, so there's that, and then also they teased The Punisher, which is going to be coming out later on this year too. Which I am really excited about The Punisher. This one was just like a quick teaser that they put up. But what I want to ask, though, is going around the room here, because there's a couple other things that they have announced so far. Is there anything that you're excited to hear about from Comic-Con? Brad, is there anything you're looking forward to, or do you just not care? Are you just
to be honest, I really haven't been paying that much attention to it.
Okay.
I do really like the idea of a new Punisher.
Yeah.
The last Punisher movie was like really kind of over the top and goofy and brutal,
You,
and I
sir,
really like that.
are clearly not caught up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So
I'm not.
Punisher showed up in Daredevil season 2. There is a new Punisher.
There's a season 2. Is that still Ben Affleck?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what? You're excused.
Yes.
And by that I mean leave.
I'm just gonna mute your microphone for the rest of this show, Brad.
Then I'm going to keep talking right into it the whole time.
Yes, there is a new Punisher. There's a new Punisher series that's so he appeared in Daredevil season 2, and now he's gonna have his own series at the end of this year that you can watch, and that was the teaser for it. So yes, the Punisher does have.
You know, I'm a huge nerd, and I like this stuff a lot. But as I was saying
kinda
before the show,
doubting that right now.
I'm single, so I don't go to the movies ever because like that's just not something that single people do.
That's
so.
the thing. This is Netflix. You can watch it at home. It's the perfect single person thing.
You know,
to do.
I tried to dip my feet into some of those, and I never really, I don't know what it was. I just never really caught on to them. I don't mind a serious, like, gritty movie, but with the TV series, I like to come home and just relax and watch something nice and light, and those don't really fit the bill for that. So.
All right, fine, whatever. Next.
But I said I was excited for Punisher, so, you know, what are you going to do?
All right, well, just talking about, Comic-Con, just really quick here at the top of the show, and just what we're expecting, what we're excited about to see. And, Brendan, is there anything that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so I
Thank
really
you
want
for
to
not
see.
disappointing me like Brad.
I want to see the Avengers Infinity trailer that I think that premiered at the Disney D23.
Yeah.
but
People
they
saw it, but we haven't
seen it
Yeah.
yet. So I want to see it. I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe quite a lot. Other than that, today has been kind of light in terms of anything that I've been kind of interested in. Mostly, I'm kind of just set on like let's see that let's
Infinity
see Iron
Wars.
Man
Yeah, get that trailer out there.
and Spider-Man, everyone fighting Thanos. Like, I'm stoked for that.
That would be pretty badass. Yeah, I'm excited about that as well. All right, Caleb.
Well, two things. First, I would say any more details on Stranger Things, the second season, I'm interested in. Man, I love that show. I really enjoyed it, and my daughter loved watching it. Something that we could watch together. She's just 8, but she totally loved that and wasn't absolutely terrified. I was a little worried about that. But outside of that, I kind of want to see what comes out of Warner Brothers, because Wonder Woman was a huge success, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the prior films, Man of Steel, Superman versus Batman, were not successful.
No.
Whether you liked them or not, that's your thing, But after 4 kind of failure films, in terms of critical success, Wonder Woman came out and just like blew everybody away.
Right.
Are they going to anchor on Wonder Woman? I think that would be awesome for Warner Brothers to say, hey, our lead is a female character, and we're rallying everybody around her.
Right.
So what's going to happen with Justice League? And some of those sidekicks.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because Justice League, they're still doing it. I mean, DC is going on with their universe. There's going to be a new Batman movie, which has had like 19 different directors. I think they just fired Ben Affleck as writer.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that one is Ben Affleck, right?
Yeah, that is Ben. Yeah, you're right on that one.
See, I'm not totally behind. I didn't see it, but
You can't have an entertainment podcast of any sort without bringing up Ben Affleck. It's
No,
just,
Ben Affleck's it has to, and Matt Damon at some
Yeah.
point. So we'll figure that one out towards the end. But I think, I think anchoring on Wonder Woman would be a great idea. But the thing is, do they go back now and recut everything? And we don't want to go too far into this. We have another podcast that kind of covers in depth on these things. But Suicide Squad, when they did the tests, they found out, people like the jokes, so let's cut it together with more jokes.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was a serious movie with these really bad jokes and just did not work. So I don't know what they're going to do with Justice League. But Wonder Woman being the anchor, that would be a great idea.
Also, anything out of Deadpool 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are really excited about the villain and who's playing the villain. I'm total brain farting right now, but yeah, I want to see anything out of Deadpool 2 would be awesome. You know?
That would be great.
And really, it's the stuff that I'm not expecting to see that I would love to be surprised. Show me something I didn't see coming. That would be awesome.
And taking a look here in the live chat too, and we're just talking about Comic-Con here at the beginning. Then we're going on to Atari and talk about Elon Musk. We had a lot of stuff that we're going to cover today, but just some briefly things people are excited about. Sarah says Wolf Among Us 2. I've seen a lot of people posting about that, and I'm not familiar with Wolf Among Us 1, but I have seen a lot of people excited. It makes me want to figure out what it is, because I'll be honest, I don't know.
If you're curious what happens to the characters in Wolf Among Us Telltale series, you can read Fables, which is the source material for it, which is an actual comic book that's really, really good. So
There we go.
it's all about it's like the same thing as Wolf Among Us. It's like cool fairy tale characters stuck in gritty real city. So there's a lot of fun stuff going there, and I never really played the Telltale games, but I really love the comic books.
That's awesome.
Comic books are super awesome.
See, and there's something for everybody. And Star Wars, I did see someone post here that they're excited about maybe a new Star Wars trailer. They did reveal a new character already, and I will attempt to name the character. I don't even know if I can pronounce it correctly. Sa'i Threnali, but I guess this new character, is that right?
I'm nodding because that sounds
good. Just nod and back me up, and then it makes it sound like I'm the expert on it.
No, yeah, you got it.
So, yeah, that's right. Oh, you got it. So apparently he's a skillful fighter pilot from Abnato descent, whatever that is. He's going to be Poe Dameron's wingman in the new Star Wars movie. So he's going to be the sidekick to Poe Dameron. So it's this alien, if you're listening to the podcast, it's a weird alien thing that kind of looks like a slug with a helmet on. Is that fair? Slug, like a walrus slug?
Horse slug kind of. He's
Horse
got like a big
slug?
long
Slug,
snout
yeah.
kind of
A
going.
walrus horse slug.
Walrus horse
Or
slug.
slug giraffe.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all of those things. So that's happening. And then the one other thing that I did want to bring up that I think is a really cool, like technically wise, that they're doing at Comic-Con right now is there's a thing called the Westworld Experience where you can, I guess if you're an attendee, you show up the Hilton San Diego Bayfront Hotel. Every morning they're taking reservations to go to Westworld, and they're not saying where this location is. It's an undisclosed location. HBO won't tell you, but if you get signed up, you show up and they treat you like you're showing up at Westworld. You go through I know exactly.
Yeah.
You go through like an orientation. They show you a video. They do a personality assessment and decide whether you're a white hat or a black hat. And then you go through and you end up in the saloon. And I guess it's there's all these bartenders, the Mariposa Saloon, where they're making you cocktails. And there's even a woman who walks around and chats up the guests. And like somebody playing piano. So it's like you're going into Westworld. That is pretty cool.
Somebody playing piano. That's an important aspect
Yeah.
of that scene.
Exactly. It is. Keelan in the live chat says Disney is never hiring Greg to sell Star Wars. So, it's a slug horse thing, with like a dangly stuff. Give me one of those.
He's got a helmet on. What do you want?
Yeah, I mean, he's wearing a helmet. He flies a ship or something. All right. Well, anyway, the Comic-Con, lots of stuff going on. We've got all the covered at digitaltrends.com. We talked about this for a while, but we have some other things to get to. And one of them actually kind of does relate a little bit to Comic-Con in that the return of Atari is now a thing. So in Blade Runner 2049, if you've seen the trailers for it, and there's some more stuff happening at Comic-Con for that, there is a giant Atari advertisement that is in the middle of it, like a product placement advertisement. And Atari is just all of a sudden over these last few weeks is just everywhere. And I think it was starting back in E3 when they were announcing the Atari Box, which is ostensibly going to be their new system. And this is what I really want to see what people think about this. With all this whole trend in retro gaming, we have the Nintendo Classic, now we've got the Super Nintendo Classic, and supposedly there might be a Nintendo 64 Classic that's coming out. This Atari Box, in theory, isn't just a retro system. What they've said is that it would also be, in addition to being a retro system, it would also play newer content, like downloadable content, and whether or not that would work or not. And this is what I want to see if people would be excited about an Atari. I mean, I have fond memories of Atari, the brand and playing the old games, but am I going to go buy a brand new system that plays the old games? I don't know if I'm going to do that.
I just wonder how different this is from the existing sort of retro, pack that you can get now with the old school controller and play those old Atari games now. Like, how is this different? Did they slap an HDMI port on it? Or?
It probably isn't.
Oh, okay. So that's the secret. It's not that different.
This is the thing. Yeah, Atari's just sitting on all these old IPs that they can use for whatever they want. But a lot of them have already been extensively licensed out elsewhere because if anybody wants to make hardware that plays Pong, like guaranteed Atari's going to sell it to them for whatever they want to buy it for. So like, the idea of like having new software, if you were trying to run, maybe it's Linux based and you're going to be able to run Steam games or something, like that's kind of appealing. But
here's the thing: I grew up with an Atari. That was the first game system I ever played. It had to wait for a while till we had our own. I was playing on somebody else's controllers for a long, long time. Yeah. And when the NES came out, my thought was, "Oh my God, this is awesome! Thank God I don't have to play Atari anymore." So now, there's a nostalgia retro thing happening right now, but like that was kind of the dark ages for gaming and for video games. And
At least you got an Atari, not a Commodore, though.
Yeah, well, I actually played around on a Commodore 64 as well, but I don't think that this is going to sell particularly well.
Well, I don't think Atari thinks it's going to either because they're kickstarting this.
Oh,
that's one of the ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I heard about this, my first thought was, okay, how does it differ from plugging into their TV with those, things you can get at Costco that are like $30, have 100 games on them.
Right.
If it does play newer stuff, the first thing that I think of is, okay, it's probably Android based. It's probably going to play stuff that's like it's an Ouya, if you guys remember the Ouya.
Yeah.
That's what this is going to be. It's going to be an Ouya that's backed by Atari. From what it sounds like. Maybe we'll all be surprised and it'll be, wow, it can do 4K, HDR, and it's going to just blow us away. But it's
bunch of new
not.
titles that nobody knows are in development.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, like you guys were saying, Atari has all these properties, but when you compare it to stuff like Nintendo, like Atari caused the video game crash in the 80s that Nintendo had to pull everybody out of. So it's like,
what are you talking about, E.T.?
Yeah, exactly. Like E.T. I mean, they just put stuff out on their games because it's like, oh my god, people are going to buy this. It's just, like, it's a cash cow.
Maybe people will buy it just so that they can experience the horror that is the ET game.
Right, maybe.
So they can laugh at it. It's like buying B movies.
You could probably get people to pay premium price for ET to play a frustrating video game that has no end.
Yar's Revenge.
Instead of having to dig up the cartridges out of that landfill. So
I press the button to go through all the settings until you get to the game you want from that cartridge and then the right settings.
I don't know. I think it's kind of. I don't know if it has the nostalgic mindshare that Nintendo does.
Nope, I don't think so.
See, and that's what I'm. There's some differing opinions coming in the live chat. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, would you buy a new Atari system? That's what I want to know. Keelan's saying yes, would absolutely buy it. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to see the nostalgia factor. That's great, but I don't think I would just buy it just on the principle alone.
I hope that Atari pulls a Nintendo and makes too few of these and then just stops making them out of nowhere.
The thing is, like you're saying too, the thing is, Nintendo or Atari has licensed out a lot of these things already, and Nintendo is notorious for not doing that, for clutching so tightly to its games and its IPs that they just don't run anywhere else. Like if you wanted to play Mario or Balloon Fight or whatever, you cannot find that game as a little handheld in Walmart or for your phone. Those games don't exist.
Yeah.
And so Nintendo is able to say come play Mario again, and you're like, well, I haven't played that game in forever because the only way to do it is to download it illegally as a ROM and play it on my computer.
Right.
So that is causing people to want to actually play those games, as opposed to they've already kind of they've shared
already
them
out
a lot.
There. Yes.
Right. Yes, with many other companies. So at this point, it's sort of there isn't an exclusivity or anything that you're going for.
Well, and speaking of that, with the Atari brand in general, this is the other thing that Atari as a company is branching out in, is Internet of Things, in the Internet of Things category, and all kinds of kind of strange products. And they debuted this one called the Atari AudioWare speaker hat. They partnered with a company called AudioWare, and this is an actual product. They've got Blade Runner specific ones that are going to be available, I guess, at Comic-Con, and then they said they're going to have ones specific to different classic games, where it's a ball cap, but with speakers embedded in the bill. So the speakers will be embedded in the bill, and it's Bluetooth capable. It will connect with a smartphone, tablet, personal computer to play music or other audio, initiate or accept phone calls, receive voice commands, and more, all with speakers broadcasting from the bill of the hat. And
downward, by the way.
So everyone can hear what you're saying. And then on top of that, they're saying it will stream audio simultaneously so that if you're gaming with other people, they can sync up your Atari hats, and then you can all share the audio at the same time. I was
imagining everyone at Comic-Con walking around with Atari hats, just blasting terrible music, all of them at different times, just waiting in line for something, and the dude in front of you is just playing Gangnam Style on repeat out of his hat.
Just to mess with people.
Because I heard about this, I heard Atari audio hat, and I kept thinking about, maybe it's one of those hats with where you can fold the bills up like a big warm winter hat, and it's got speakers built into this. Like your headphones are right here, and you can flip them up and keep going. And no, it's something dumb like this. Like I ride the light rail in Portland into work every morning, and people are already using their phones to blast music out of them. And I swear to God, if you give them something like this, I'm gonna be so mad. Yeah. I'm gonna be so mad if I get on the Max and somebody's just blasting something out of their hat. Like, oh hey, what's up? Like,
it is.
This is the next freaking selfie stick, is what this is. You know,
but selfie sticks aren't like
even more obnoxious.
Selfie sticks only bother people within like a 2 or 3 foot radius of you, whereas this is like anyone within earshot is like, please turn off Carly Rae Jepsen right now. I'm on the phone.
This is like the people in the
doctor's office
that talk on speakerphone and hold their phone out so that everyone can hear their conversation. Yeah. Now I'm mad at this thing. Thanks, Brandon.
I'm imagining too like weird situation, like your dentist is just working in your mouth and just like.
Well, that's what they're going into. So that is the Atari the Atari AudioWare speaker hat. So pick yours up if you're down there at Comic-Con.
Are they just taking pictures for like anything now? Like, could I just like pitch something else to them? Like, oh, it's like a camera you strap to your forehead and you just point it at everything and it live streams constantly. I don't know.
Put Atari on it in your.
I don't know. It's Atari.
Well,
I get this T-shirt. It looks kind of nice. It's like sort of an off gray Atari. I don't know.
There it is. Well, I don't know. Maybe you should. Yeah, you should definitely pitch them for something. So there we go. Atari. That is what they've got going. So bouncing on to a couple other topics, I'm just realizing what time it is. So keep your comments coming through, too. Let us know what you think, commenting on Facebook and YouTube. We want to hear that. Courtney does say, no, I hated my friend's Atari. That's surprising. All right, so you hated the Atari. I would just bargain with my buddies to borrow their games, and then I would not always return them. So we'll go on from that. So let's talk about something else that came out today, and this is Trends with Benefits, talking about the trending topics. And Elon Musk back in the news again, which as he usually is, at least every couple of weeks. And now it's for a couple of things, and one of them is a post he made on Twitter today, talking about how he has a verbal agreement with the government, whatever that is, to create an underground Hyperloop connecting Washington, D.C. to New York City, which would cut the travel time to 29 minutes to get from New York City to Washington, D.C. And he's claiming that he has this verbal approval, that he can go in and use his boring company, which you haven't heard about that. That's his company that digs tunnels, called the Boring Company, and use that to dig out a tunnel and then also put in the Hyperloop in that tunnel.
There's a Melania Trump joke in here somewhere, I think.
Probably is. Yeah, his exact tweet is just received verbal government approval for the Boring Company to build an underground New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C. Hyperloop. The government.
The government.
No information on who exactly that is. He said it would be city center to city center in each case, with up to a dozen or more entry-exit elevators in each city. So that's what he's claiming, is that he has approval to do this.
We're jokingly dismissing this, before we start the podcast. But let's face it, like, Elon Musk has a way of making stuff happen. And the Hyperloop, there's a lot of people involved in developing it. And I think that once they have a couple of key breakthroughs, this thing will be a reality. And I think it's going to be awesome. Give me that from Seattle to LA with stops in Portland and San Francisco, and maybe even Sacramento. No. Yes. Nobody needs to stop at Sacramento. That. But sorry anybody who lives in Sacramento. But I think Sacramento. We just lost the whole city. But I mean, I think it's going to end up happening. I wonder about the whole like underground boring type deal. Less so on the East Coast than on the West Coast. Like here, we're waiting for a massive earthquake that will destroy tons of stuff.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be underground much. Yeah, I don't even want to go to the ape caves out at Mount St. Helens right now for fear that I will die in there.
When that happens. Right?
But, I mean, on the East Coast, make it happen. Go. I think it's a great idea. I do think we're a little bit too obsessed with maglev, though. I mean, maglev is everywhere. Floating speakers, floating coffee cups, everything floats. It's as if magnetics were just discovered,
Right.
But I think this will end up being cool. I don't know what a governmental verbal agreement really means, though.
I don't know either. I mean, the thing with Elon Musk is you feel like he's so rich and so powerful with a lot of his ideas, but you still don't know if he's a superhero or a supervillain yet. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know which way he's going to go. And so that's one of the things. You don't know exactly what he's going to Great, but he does have the power. Maybe he can make this happen of anybody. It's being asked on YouTube. I see Mutation666 wonders what a ticket to DC to New York would cost, guessing more than a flight, so most people can't afford it. That's true. It probably would be a lot of money, especially to start out with.
Well, I think politicians and dignitaries from foreign countries and whatnot would probably do just fine getting on this
right
thing.
Yeah.
From the mock-up they showed, it looked like it was one of those things where you like dock your car into it and take it with you, and you have to imagine that anyone who owns a car in New York City is probably not like okay with paying a couple $100 to like bring their car to
that's
DC
one
with them.
concept. The
So,
other one is more like a multi-seat train capsule that you get into. And
and the video I showed was the boring the tunnel concept, and this is combining that with the Hyperloop.
Boring indeed.
So that's one of the things. He also said that he wants to put a base on the moon. So who knows?
Cool.
Elon Musk. Yeah, sweet, Elon. Awesome. So that's a couple of things that he's planning. So getting to our last topics here on the show, and again, we're broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube, so go ahead and put your comments in there. I'm just reading. Sorry, right when I was reading that, Vicky just wrote Putin. That was it. So,
nice segue.
okay. It is perfect, so thank you for that. So let's talk about Putin for a minute. Talking about Russia, though, really, and you've probably seen something about this, and there's an article up on Digital Trends about this, and it's a lot of places right now.
Fake news.
Fake news.
If it has to do with Russia, it's fake news.
Fake news.
Sorry,
Clearly.
we're not supposed to do that, are we? Sorry, Ian.
Well, we had Dan at the beginning. Now you've already offended Ian. So
I am definitely getting fired today.
So enjoy the whiskey mist while you can. So let's talk about this. So there's a university in Moscow, the Moscow Polytechnic University. I wanted to get the names right. And they have partnered with an advertising agency. And what they're going to be doing is launching a satellite up into space that's going to circle the globe. And once it gets up there, it's going to unfold into a giant pyramid. And this pyramid is going to reflect so much light, and this is something that they're actually working on that's going to go up, will reflect so much light that when it's up there, it will be the second brightest object in space that we can see.
At night.
At night.
So second to the moon?
Second to the moon. So it'll be the moon and then this thing. So if it does happen to go over you, you will see this. And it is being parted, the main thing here being an advertising agency is partnering with this. So it's a company, the sponsorship to this university, they're called Rocket Bank, and they're branding the satellite the Cashback Star. It's going to be circling.
I really think this is an effort for Russia to remind the entire world that it is the new North Star. Welcome to the new world order.
And that's the thing. Like, if they're able to do this, and they said once the pyramid unfolds, it'll last about 30 days, and then it'll descend back into the atmosphere. But just the idea that they're going to do this, and you can't stop them from doing it. I mean, they're going up with a Russian satellite.
We could
and
shoot it
of course,
down.
Russia's like, yep, throw it up there. You know, everybody will have to see it. But what this possibly means for the future of advertising and where people can take this by putting stuff up into the atmosphere like that, that's kind of a scary concept. Because, again, I mean, yeah, I guess you could try to shoot it down if you went to a military option, if you knew they were doing it. But satellites go up all the time. Who knows what's going to be going up on this?
Think about the fact that a bank is paying this much money to launch a rocket to deploy this thing in space. I mean, I don't know how many millions of dollars that is, but that's that's like a huge ad budget for a bank that's supposed to be looking after your money, not spending it on a gigantic pyramid mirror in space.
Yeah.
Does anybody else think that's weird?
You'd never heard of them until now.
That's true.
And now you've heard of Rocket Bank?
Rocket
Bank?
Bank?
I don't know. I can't put my money in there because it's a Russian bank. That would look really bad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
Put your Bitcoin in there.
Isn't this a plot of a James Bond movie?
Not yet.
I'm pretty sure. No, it was. I'm pretty sure there was a
will
movie
be
where
soon.
they shot something up into space
Like
to like
Moonraker or
redirect
whatever?
light. No, it was maybe Quantum of Solace, and they're in the ice hotel. And it gets melted because the thing malfunctions, or somebody harnesses its power to like direct a concentrated beam of light at the hotel.
Didn't Mr. Burns try to block out the sun?
Yeah,
Something
this is
like
all.
this? Yeah,
The Simpsons even did it. Like, this isn't a new idea. No one's going to be like really surprised. Oh, it's just another satellite that looks super bright.
But you didn't go to movies.
It's James Bond. That was like 10 years ago. I see them afterward when they're not in theaters anymore. I don't go to the movies. But if they're in my home, I'll watch them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Rich says Austin Powers movie. This is totally
All of these places have done this
absolutely,
before.
Yeah, an Austin Powers
This isn't an original idea.
Well, regardless, you can read all about it at digitaltrends.com. Your new overlord, the money back star, that will be glaring back down at you. All right, well, let's get to our final topic here, and this is a frequent one here on the show. It's how robots are going to be overtaking all of us soon. And this is, we've talked about this company a lot. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this. It's a company called Nightscope, who makes something called the K5 security robot. And they're deployed actually, surprisingly, in quite a lot of places. And they look kind of like the Dalek from Doctor Who. I don't even watch Doctor Who, but I know what that looks like. And it rolls around. It's able to identify license plates, to help out with things, to call actual police. It's really heavy, and it just kind of rolls around on things. I think it ran over a child. The child was okay not very long ago. That was in the news. I think it ran over a 6-year-old. But now, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to one of these security robots. So this is one that was in Washington Harbor in Georgetown. And unfortunately, over this last weekend, Steve the robot decided to run himself into a pool. And we have a picture of it right here if you're watching live.
It's just so good.
And I'm sorry if you're listening to the podcast, you have to find this picture. Just look up Steve the robot. So what happens? They have like a decorative pool on Georgetown, and this robot barely couldn't stop itself and just ran into the pool. It's face down in the pool, floating. And there's some more images that I apologize. I forgot to grab them. There's some more images that I did see where it's these people trying to fish him out of the pool.
You know what's terrible is that if this was a living, breathing thing, or a human or
No, it's
animal,
awful,
it would be terrible. But
We'd never talk about it.
Who would have gotten out of the pool? It's like 6 inches deep.
It would have been like, oh, I'm wet.
The thing was just like, no, that's it. I live here now.
did sparks fly, and was there a lot of electrical smoke
I don't
puffing
think
out when
so.
it fell
There's
in?
a picture of the security guards in like waist-high waders trying to get this
there
thing
is,
out
yeah.
of the like pond.
Steve, no!
Goodbye,
It's not over yet! Conspiracy
okay.
Dan is back in the house.
I've said this a lot.
Damn, just real quick, we're going to be joined here really quick, celebrity appearance. We've got Conspiracy Dan hopping in here. So, Dan, we were just talking about the unfortunate passing of Steve the robot in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you saw this.
No, I love that.
Steve the security robot
I love that.
who ran himself into a pool.
Who thought when we were all talking about this before, like, oh, just try to outrun it or whatever? Who thought about just spray it with a hose?
David in the chat says my vacuum is smarter.
Can you imagine, like, Caleb could be on one side of that pool and I could go kick the robot and run next to Caleb and tease it?
Take them down one by one. That's how we win.
I've said before that I would really welcome our new robot overlords.
You have. You're
but
a
in this
robot
case, I
sympathizer.
really have never felt more related to them with the idea of just being like the middle of the afternoon work day. I'm just like, you know what? And just face down in a fountain somewhere, just like, this is fine. This is fine now. This is where I work.
I'm making a prediction that this will end up in a movie somehow. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
futuristic movie. Like, yeah, it's going to be a parody.
Or
somehow.
just like a Will Ferrell movie
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah, it's going to be like
It's too bad SNL isn't running right now, because they could jump on it right away
Right.
in the most timely way
I've
possible.
already got it. What's the Kevin James security guard movie?
Mall
the
Cop.
It's Mall Cop 3. He gets replaced by the robot. The robot runs into a pool. There it is.
And then they have to do the whole like,
Yep.
like they asked me to come back, and like I said I wouldn't. I'm not gonna do that.
It could be like the parody of Chappie. Right? Falls in a puddle.
See, yeah, it makes me wonder, why is Elon Musk so afraid of AI when it can't even navigate 6 inches of water? Like, I think we're okay.
Put that in your Hyperloop, Elon.
Yeah.
I like the imagining what noises it was making too when it fell in the water. Like alert, alert, alert,
Oh, no.
citizen,
Imagine it.
citizen,
Did it create a
security.
I only just learned how to love.
I don't know how we top that at this point.
I just wonder if this was the point at which the robot actually figured out what humanity was like and all
It's like,
about.
no, dude, come out.
Oh,
What is my role? Like, you arrest shoplifters. Oh my god.
What was it doing to fall into the pool?
It was
Leon
just
in
walking
the
by
chat
and
just
it saw
said,
it.
no need to worry about the Matrix anytime soon.
Plug me into that. What do you want to learn? Kung Fu. You have to get past the pool of water.
No.
Sensei, no. All right, I don't know where else we go. There it is. This is Trends with Benefits. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Bye.
I'm going to be talking like a robot for the rest of the day now. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. Get the audio version. Check out all the articles at digitaltrends.com, and we'll be back next week with another episode.